have happened to pass by them over time so much that we diluted them somewhere in the background across religions. And that's what Angel Gabriel is signaling here. And Gabriel is a figure that appears in both Islam and Christianity. And these sculptures that we see here are used as vahanas in processions. So you do see these processions, you see the Rath Yatras, the vahanas with their respective deities and sort of coming out of it here and then made by the divine itself. You see first Mushika. Mushika also has a very fascinating story. There are multiple stories that exist. One being that he was an asur. So these characters, these beings exist in multiple religious tales and mythological tales across time, all over the world. So, for example, Dhumavati is supposed to be associated with a certain inauspiciousness. Again, giving that also a divine meaning. And it is such an exemplary work of the kind of craft culture that Odisha has. This is a flexible brass theme that is made. And here we are using it to sort of tap into the stories of vahanas that relate to rivers and waters, trying to break the stereotype of looking at things in a certain way, trying to invite people to look at stories all around, not just the ones they are grown up with, but how these helpers, these attendants, and these creatures keep appearing in tales everywhere. So, for example, this is the Vahana that represents Airavat. Who's the Vahana? Who's in the Vahana? These are the creatures I personally really enjoyed learning about. For example, one perfect fact, and then I'll hand over to Vineet. So some of these are Ganas. And one interesting thing is, whenever we think of the representation of the divine, there is, in art history, there is this term that we learn about, which is Mahapurush Lakshan. And so every deity is shown in such great proportion, everything is so set, the necks are elongated, the earlobes are elongated, there are long foreheads, and there's a certain chief of attendants who had to ensure that all Ganas do what they're supposed to do. So very relatable personally. But yeah, so here they are from chariot itself. These are small panels, and here's a small scale version of the same. And a lot of temples keep remaking these. So in a temple where a lot of things are fixed, these are very movable. The shrine itself is movable. Very focused. And behind you, the Kinras as well, that I wanted to point out. These are hybrid machines that is supposed to. I would like to move to this one, where it is very interesting because when you look at the clothing of this figure here, it is very contemporary. It is almost like it's very other issues, and you start noticing what is in the corners, what is on the ceilings. There are these beings literally holding up the structures. So their build has a limitation, and these chaotic beings cannot be contained. So this is for us as a request to the viewers to really look around and start seeing them wherever. Departments. There's a tactile guide, which for the first time, along with the written text, has braille over it. And some of these sculptures and paintings have been turned into raised line drawings. So, for example, if you see this, the stencil that we saw, which replicates the Sanchi cutouts, it's all raised. So anybody with a visual disability is able to sort of run their hands across the print and understand, okay, these are the horns, and this is Chandra. And similarly, this is a myth-mash book that we've created for those who want to spend a little more time. So we break that structure of looking at art for just what it is, but also finding hidden meanings that often get overlooked just by the visual maths of how it's rendered. And museums are supposed to do things which make you think a little differently. And I feel this exhibition subverts that gaze quite powerfully. The corner, because your attention was always in the center, and here the center is invisible. So we're bound to look at the corners. And that can work. We've all grown up with certain stories, with a little bit of magic, curiosity, chaos, using different kind of creatures. But with age and time, that kind of magic and chaos has been lost. So within Celestial Company, we are taking you back to those times and asking you to shift your gaze in a lot of visual imagery of central figures where divinity is present. We often just focus on the divinity, but we don't realize they are always in company and in magical company at that. There are these Ganas, Gandharvas, Kinnaras, and the humble mouse crouched at the bottom, or the Garud sitting atop a building. All of these creatures have their own lives and things to say. And so within Celestial Company, you are asked to focus on these margins as they are brought to the center. And with the festive season approaching, we feel it is the perfect time to go back to those kind of stories and really look at the things that you missed out the first time. We are opening this Saturday on 13th of September at MAP Bangalore. Please do join us. That's